Hey everybody, Ben for the Bonehead podcast, and welcome to Blood Bowl 2025 team guides. We're going through every team in Blood Bowl Season 3. We're looking at the changes, we're looking at the players, we're looking at the roster, what you can run if you go to your shop and buy a box. Now, Snotlings are one of the top 5 teams I'm excited about in this edition. They got some big wins, and I just think they're going to be a ton of fun to play. So, let's have a look at Snotlings. Alright, so Snotlings, look, I'm not going to beat about the bush. They got fun because their pump wagons lost secret weapon. It makes no sense at all, but it is amazing because this team has then gone from 2 big guys and 2 borderline unusable pieces to 4 big guys, and it is just a wicked boost to this edition and to this team. So they're tier 4, they are stunty, they are arguably better than tier 4. I think this is potentially the best. It's the best stunty team in the terms of winning. It's got a bit of everything. It's carnage. I love it. They can take an apothecary, and you may want to if at some point one of your pieces gets really cool. Otherwise, I wouldn't worry about it too much. And I wouldn't worry about it too much. Most of you guys are cheap enough, and they come with all the gear you want them to do. That actually just buying a new guy is going to be okay for you. Now, 70k rerolls is quite expensive, but most of the rest of the roster just straight up isn't. So you're going to be able to run a fair few rerolls. You're going to need them because you've got no combat skills on this roster. You got a lot of dodge, don't get me wrong, but other than that, you're doing everything on on a hope and a prayer. So a couple of rerolls are going to be beneficial here. Now, Underworld Challenge is going to affect which star players, which inducements you can take. So you can still take like Skitter and Hack Flem and stuff, which is great for this team. I don't think we're going to see that quite as much, but it's definitely something you can still do to some extent. Bribery and corruption, they get cheaper bribes at 50k, which is fantastic. However, because the only 2 secret weapons left on this team are 30k each, you're often not going to bother because you can have 2 and they're both pretty good. So for 60k, you can get 2 secret weapon players. Or for 80k, you can get 1 on a bribe, and it's kind of like, well, I'll just take 2. But it's there as an option for you, and it can be quite good if you've got the cash just to keep those guys around, and it can be useful if you end up leaning into and taking a secret weapon star player. Now, low-cost linemen and swarming, this is where the Snotling team kind of does its thing. So low-cost linemen, it does nothing for tournaments, but what it means is in a league game, when it comes to looking at your roster and looking at your opponent's roster and say, I'm at 1 million, you're at 1.2 million, you would get 200k to spend in petty cash, which can be extra rerolls, apothecaries, bribes, star players. That's your inducement stage. When it comes to the Snotling team, they buy their linemen as normal, but when it comes to that league game, the linemen don't cost anything. They don't value anything. So, for example, 1 million versus 1.2 million, your roster may actually be 900,000. So you get more money to spend on inducements, on bribes and star players and shenanigans, which is wicked. Swarming is the kind of trait here for the Snotling team. After you've set up for a drive, you get to put D3 linemen on the pitch, and it just means that your Snotlings are mostly, for most drives, going to be running with 12, 13, 14 players on the pitch. Now, don't get me wrong, having an extra Snotling on the pitch is not the worst thing in the world, because they're strength 1 and armor 3.5, so they're very vulnerable. But because they've got dodge, because they've got sidestep, they just get in the way, and having all those extra players on there can be really good. You can support your trolls, you can just go and get in the way of your opponent, force them to roll dice, force them to take blocks. They're just really effective. So having swarming, even if it's just an extra 1, 2 or 3 Snotlings, can be so good. Okay, so in this edition, the roster actually hasn't changed in numbers, but it's changed in function a bit. So 0 to 16 Snotling linemen. Now, they've gained insignificant, which means you cannot have more linemen on your roster than you have other players, so positionals. Now, if you look at the roster, you're thinking, I've got loads of positionals, it's not going to be a problem. What this does is it stops you from basically just taking an all Snotling lineman roster and then using low-cost linemen to just farm a ton of petty cash and just going mad on star players. You're still going to get petty cash, you're still going to be able to buy some star players, but what they're doing is they're kind of balancing out. So if you're running Snotlings, you have to run some Fun-hoppers, you have to run some flingers, you have to run some trolls, you have to run other players. I think it's really good for 11s. In 7s, it's going to make things a little bit more challenging. So I think that's probably a rule that's just going to have to get ignored when it comes to low-cost linemen. I just think I think that rule just has to, that insignificant. I think it just has to not exist in sevens because of the positional limits. Okay, so you get all those Snotling linemen. You get 0 to 2 Fun-hoppers, which are the Pogo players. So they're movement 6, but they've got Pogo. They don't have Titchy, so they're not 2+ everywhere. They're just 3+ everywhere. If they're dodging, 3+ with a reroll. If they're leaping, if they're pogoing, it's 3+ without a reroll. What it does mean is it means every now and again you're just going to be able to take that bounce into somewhere to just do something stupid, or if you've already got yourself into a position where you are doing something stupid, you can bounce out and have a go at just being somewhere else. It's a really useful thing, but ideally they're just movement 6 Snotlings that have the option to bounce, which is great. Also movement 6 Snotlings, you've got the Stilty runners. Now they come with sprint. Do they come with sprint or short feet? Yes, sprint. So they're movement 6, dodge, right stuff, sidestep, and sprint. So no titch on either of these players, but that means that they are essentially movement 9, which is way nippy. I mean, they're going to blow up as soon as you look at them, but they're movement 9 until that point. Then you've got 0 to 2 Fungus flingers, who are the bomb-throwing guys. They are just cheap bombers, and they are fantastic. They do have secret weapons, so they are going to get sent off. But the Fungus flingers are just wicked. They are by far and large, I think, the most impactful player on this roster, just because they're 30k, and a bomber has the tendency to warp the game around them a bit. Just dinking and dunking, throwing explosives. It's just a lot of fun. Right, pump wagons. Pump wagons got the glow up of Alice Century, and it makes no sense to me as to why, but these guys no longer have secret weapon. So you are just driving around with these little ice cream trucks on the pitch. It's madness. It's brilliant. They come with a bunch of fun skills. You can level them up in a really cool way. I love that they got pump wagons. The downside is that the Games Workshop pump wagons, they're not the easiest things to build, so most of you have built one and gone, I'm probably good with one. Their secret weapon, I'll probably only use one. Go find your box, go find your sprue, you're going to need a second one now. And you can take 0 to 2 trolls as well. And I think you're going to want to. The rest of your roster is actually pretty cheap, and those trolls just give you extra strength and extra resilience, extra opportunities to throw Snotlings around, and a bit of mighty blow as well, just to add a bit of removal. All right, let's start off. So the Snotling lineman, movement 5, strength 1, edge 3+, passing 4+, armor 6+, dodge insignificant, right stuff, sidestep, stunty, titchy. So, okay. Where to start with this? 15k is a bargain for this player. Strength 1 and armor 6+ is rubbish, but because they've got sidestep and dodge, they're going to be really annoying. Blocking a Snotling is a real problem. Until you roll that POW or you're hitting them with a blocker, they are bouncing around. You're going to get 3 dice all of the time against you, but you're not always going to go down. Like, there's going to be those chances where your opponent just dodges you or takes that push and you just get to sidestep. And because you as the Snotling player get to choose where sidestep goes, you can, I mean, we always call it on the channel choosing where to die, absolutely, but sometimes the Snotling's not going to die. Sometimes they're just going to stay standing, and just being able to choose where you want to go to get in the way is phenomenally useful. Right stuff, they can be thrown. Titchy with dodge and stunty and edge 3+ means that they ignore modifiers and they get +1 to dodging around. So these guys are just 2++ to dodge anywhere, forever, ever, unless there's prehensile tail, which makes Snotlings super useful. Now, they're not superstar players, but what this does mean is you've got an edge 3+ player here that can, if necessary, run through a bunch of tackle zones, mostly on 2+s with an inbuilt reroll. They can get to where they want to go to. The downside of Snotlings is once they've got there, they're not going to be there for very long because they're such a juicy block target. But if you need to get a Snotling to tag a player, if you need to get a Snotling to go around the edge to give an extra support, to go and get the ball, to go and get in the way, they will pretty much be able to get there. Once they're there, they're going to get blocked and they're probably going to die, but who knows, it might be all right. Skills wise, you're not often going to be leveling up a Snotling. In fact, unless you've got a Snotling that looks a really cool model or a really cool thing, they don't get names until they do stuff. That's the rule of the channel here. Agility and devious, so they do get devious skills. Now Snotlings here in this edition, 3 SPP is going to get you a random skill, 6 SPP is a chosen primary skill, 10 SPP is a chosen double skill, and 14 SPP is a random stat up. 14 SPP for a Snotling lineman is very hopeful. 10 SPP for a Snotling lineman, Lineman is also pretty hopeful. 3 SPP for a Snotling lineman. That's a random MVP or a cheeky touchdown, which is going to happen for your Snotlings. That's what you want to do, I think. You want to take a random devious skill because there are some fun stuff that you can spike with Snotlings. You can get Dirty Player, which is going to help you to foul. You can get Lone Fowler, which is going to get you a reroll. Otherwise, I wouldn't worry too much. Like, yeah, sprint makes your Snotling a bit faster. Yeah, jump up means that if your Snotling goes down and doesn't die with armor 6+, he can jump back up again. It's going to be kind of fun and kind of useful. But the best you can hope for with a Snotling really these days is that they roll something cool like Dirty Player and just hang around kicking stuff in the head. All right, the fun stuff, the Fun-hoppa, movement 6, strength 1, edge 3+, passing 4+, armor 6+. So, fast Snotling at movement 6. Dodge, pogo, right stuff, sidestep, and stunty. They don't have titchy, so you don't get +1 to dodging. So these guys are 3+ with a reroll everywhere. Still really good, but not as good as a standard Snotling, but they come with 1 extra point of movement, so movement 6, and they get the pogo ability. Now, pogo means once per turn, they can jump over a square regardless as to what's in that square, and they do it with a straight agility test. So a 3+, that pogo guy can just be 2 squares away. You have to pay the movement, but it can really be helpful sometimes. Well, don't forget, you are stunty, you do have dodge, and you are edge 3+. So there's going to be a lot of times where actually a 3+ with a reroll on a dodge is going to be better for you than actually taking that pogo out of there. But it does mean that there's that extra time where actually your opponent's got 3 guys in the way. You just jump straight over them on a 3+. That's where your team rerolls come in, and it can just be really helpful. Now, movement 6 means that they're fast as well. They're still armor 6+, so they are going to die really quickly. But it's really cool. Now, on this player, I do quite like jump up, okay? They're movement 6. They're going to be running around. There is a high likelihood that they're going to end up on the ground. So catch is great for them to be a receive the ball and run off with it skill. Jump up is great for them to just be integrity a bit better. But with the Fun-hoppers, even though they are very vulnerable, it's pretty cool to save up enough to 10 SPP to get pro on them just to make their pogo and everything else just a lot better. But do not misunderstand me. The Fun-hoppa already comes with everything it needs to do, and it's not likely to survive very long, but it is a movement 6 Snotling that can jump around, and that's just going to give you more options in a circumstance. Does it have right stuff? Do they have right stuff? You can write stuff for Fun-hoppa? You can write stuff for Fun-hoppa, and you can write stuff for Stilty. Huh. All right, wicked. So you can actually just throw this dude as well. So, yeah, I do like jump up. The other speed store on this roster with movement 6, strength 1, edge 3+, passing 4+, armor 6+ is the Stilty runner. Let me just check all the passing stats. Yeah, everyone's just 4+. Nice. Dodge, right stuff, sidestep, sprint, and stunty. Basically the same as the pogo, but instead of being able to jump, this guy comes with sprint instead. So he can potentially be movement 9. Movement 9. You get sprint, which gives you the opportunity to go for it 3 times, 3 rushes. So he can go movement 6 and then rush and then rush and then rush if you want to go for it. He doesn't have titchy, so he's edge 3+ with a reroll for dodge instead of edge essentially 2+ when he's taking the dodges. But it still means you've potentially got a movement 9 threat, movement 9 scoring threat, which is a ton of fun. Now, skills-wise, yeah, I mean, sure, feet is quite good on a Stilty runner. They're likely to be using that sprint to run around to get to a position where they're either supporting a really good block for you, getting in the way, or making that scoring attempt. So actually having the extra reliable inbuilt reroll there can be quite good. Catch, potentially, if you're trying to make them a ball threat, a scoring threat. But, I mean, when it comes to Snotlings, I don't know, like, they're not often going to be leveling up, and it does add more team value to your roster. But there's something heroic about it. Okay, so Fungus Flingers 0 to 2, movement 5, strength 1, edge 3+, passing 4+, armor 6+, 30k apiece, a bombardier, dodge, right stuff, secret weapon, sidestep, stunty, titchy. So dodge, sidestep, stunty, titchy, absolute standard Snotling shenanigans, secret weapon and bombardier. So these guys are the ones that can throw bombs. Now, it's a 30k star player, basically. You chuck them on the roster, you throw them out, on a defensive drive, on an offensive drive to cause carnage if you want. But the idea is that they just bombardier things. So they can just have a go at throwing bombs. Because actually, if they take out one of your guys, I mean, you've got loads. Your opponent probably doesn't. So they can make a pass action with a bomb. I don't think there's a limit on range anymore. But basically, wherever that bomb goes, on a 4+, the players around it get knocked down. Which is a big big shenanigan. So fungus flingers, I mean, they're just weapons. They're secret weapons. They're very obvious weapons. And it's really interesting because you get 2, so you can just deploy 1, and if he blows up, fine. If someone takes him out, fine. On the next drive, you're going to have another one as well. So the fungus flingers are a really interesting addition to the Snotling team. It feels really goblin, and when they came out, we were like, wow, these guys do goblin stuff more than goblins do. And when it comes to the fungus flinger, passing 4+ is just wicked. They get access to all the same skills, and they do have passing access, so you can actually make them accurate. It means they're quick passing on a 3+. You can give them pass to re-roll that thrown bomb attempt. It is nonsense. You can even give Hail Mary pass and just try not to die. It's an interesting one. Look, armor 6+, bombardier, secret weapon. They're not going to be around enough to really get SPPs, but it's always fun to live the dream, I suppose. Talking of living the dream, can I interest you in a pair of pump wagons? Oh yes, movement 5, strength 5, edge 5+, passing 6+, armor 9+, 100k. 100k? Are you serious? Why? Why? This is outrageously bargain territory here for a big guy. Right, and they come with Dirty Player, Juggernaut, Mighty Blow, Really Stupid, and Stand Firm. Right, Stand Firm is the handbrake for the vehicle, absolutely fine. Really Stupid, they are going to need some support to keep them motivated. On a 4+, they'll do stuff if they're by themselves. On a 2+, if they've got a player that isn't really stupid, that hasn't lost a tackle zone next to them, they can do things. So it is a manageable downside. It's a manageable downside. They've got Juggernaut, which means if you are blitzing with them, you can turn a both down result into a push, which keeps them on their feet, or wheels in this case. They've got Mighty Blow, so when they do hit something, you get the +1 to the armor or injury roll. And they've got Dirty Player, which means if you foul with the pump wagon, you get +1 to the armor or injury roll. They're strength 5. You've got no loner. All right, they are vulnerable-ish for a big guy. They've got no resilient skills, and they've got armor 9+, but strength 5 is its own resilience, right? The opponent's going to have to front up pretty hard to take out a pump wagon. Armor 9+ is absolutely infinitely beatable, but I mean, it's still not bad. 100k, that's amazing. Okay, so skills wise, they are going to cause casualties. These guys, they're going to cause casualties. These guys are going to cause casualties. They're going to get an MVP. They're going to get some SPP. So, devious skills and strength skills on a primary, which means at 3 SPP, you can take a random. You roll 2 and pick one. Fantastic. Or 6 SPP, you choose which skill you want. And there's a couple here that I think you might be interested in. So, devious skills. You've already got Dirty Player. But there's a couple of things you can do here. If you want them to be a mobile fouling piece, which can be quite entertaining, you can take quick foul, so they can run up, foul, run away. You can take sneaky git, which means if they foul, but they don't break the armor and they roll a double, they don't get sent off. That can be pretty good. Lone Fowler is the interesting one here for the pump wagon, I think. They've already got Dirty Player, so you get to roll up. And as long as no one else is giving you support on that foul, they get to re-roll the dice. And they've already got Dirty Player. That's a lot of fun. But realistically, strength skills, I think, is where the pump wagon's going to want to be. They've already got Juggernaut, so when they're blitzing, it's good to go. They've already got Mighty Blow, so when they hit stuff, they're good to go. So there's 2 things here that I do quite like. One is break tackle. Yes, I'm contractually obligated to bring this up in every team guide. But at a strength 5 player, you get +3 to your dodge. So that's once per turn. So that's going to take that 5+ agility and turn it into a 2+ open field dodge with no loner. That means your pump wagon is reliably bouncing into the open on a 2+. If it goes wrong, you've got a team reroll. Okay, that's all cool. It means they're jumping into 1 tackle zone on a 3+, 2 tackle zones on a 4+. This guy can just wander in to 2 tackle zones with a team reroll on a 75% of the time. He's just going to toodle in there and then Mighty Blow something with strength 5. It's fantastic. Pile Driver is the other skill that I do quite like. I'm just going to double check that it is. It's a devious skill now. And what this allows you to do is make a block, and then if you, regardless as to what happens, as long as your opponent is placed prone, you get to roll armor from the block, which is great for the pump wagon because you've got Mighty Blow. And then you can go, all right, well, we're just going to trigger Pile Driver now, which means I get a free foul action. Now, it's going to place your pump wagon prone, but these guys It doesn't really matter. And then they get to make a foul, and you've got dirty player. So 6 SPP, pile driver, your pump wagon blitzes a guy, jugs to keep you standing, but if they knock him down, you've got mighty blow on the first armor roll, you drop him on the side, and you make a foul with +1 as well. It's absolutely brutal. If you can find a couple of Snotlings that have randomly got put the boot in, which is guard for the ground, like it's guard for fouling, you can brew up some absolute misery. And I think pump wagons are going to be great. They've got hands as well. And because there's really stupid is fine, like Juggernaut, break tackle, like these guys can become legitimate ball carriers as well, which is just superb. Pump wagons are just the most fun. I maintain, and I always will maintain, that they should have been ball and chain pieces because they drive around randomly and it would have been perfect, but they aren't, and at the moment they're just the best costed big guy, and I just think it's wicked. And then you've got the poor man's pump wagon, the troll. Movement 4, not as good as 5. Strength 5, edge 5+, passing 5+, armor 10+. They are more resilient. Always hungry, mighty blow, projectile vomit, really stupid, throw teammate, and regeneration. So the trolls go on this roster to do 2 things. 1 is stand on the line or in the scrum and punch and be punched, and 2, to throw Snotlings at stuff as and when, because they can. Now, they've got really stupid as well, which means you are going to have to do a bit of hand holding, but there's no loner here on the trolls either. So you've got 4 mighty blow pieces with no loner. Yeah, you need to help them out with really stupid, but when it comes to Snotlings, you're going to get swarming, which means you're going to have D3 linemen on the pitch so that you've got extras to look after your big guys. That's a lot of mighty blow, and sometimes the best thing the troll can do is just throw a Snotling, and you're going to have extras, at something. At a player, at a cage, whatever you want to, it's at your neighbor, at the dog. Like, you can throw Snotlings at anything, only once per turn, which is a big shame, but now in this edition you can still pass the ball, so it just gives you that extra throw teammate 1-turn touchdown opportunity, as well as just being like, okay, well, this troll's in base contact, so I'll chuck a dude next to him and give him extra support for a 3-die block with no loner and mighty blow. Fantastic. This troll is actually free, so I'm just going to use him to waddle up and pick up that Snotling from the ground and throw it at my opponent's cage just to see what happens. Maybe I'll break a corner of a cage and then I can drive my pump wagon in there and just mighty blow him. It's fantastic. The trolls used to carry Snotlings. Now they are just going to be there to back up the pump wagons. Trolls are your linemen. Trolls are your linemen on this roster, but they can also do great things. Fantastic. Oh, I did a roster. Okay, wicked. Right, Snotlings. So if you go and buy a box of Snotlings, now you've got pump wagons, you can actually roll on a roster. But I have no. Okay, cool. Right, yes. You need trolls. Get trolls. Without trolls, you're not doing it. And I'm not even showing you a roster without trolls. Okay. I'm not confused about my video. You are. Right, 4 Snotling linemen, 2 Fun-hoppers, 2 Stilty runners, 2 Fungus flingers, 2 pump wagons, 2 trolls, 3 rerolls, and riotous rookies, and a bribe just because you can. That's going to come to 960. That is outrageous. Now, that is quite possibly taking the Snotling linemen there at being low cost, meaning they don't add any value, but that is just so much stuff. If that's coming in at 960, you can even not take the bribe and have even more money left over. Now, the point of this is that if you pick up a box, I do still recommend the trolls. Now, look at that. 2 trolls is going to be 230k. Look at how low your team value is going to be without those trolls. You can afford the trolls. And without loner, they're not a downside. They're just a benefit. They're a big strength 5 mighty blow benefit that can throw your Snotlings. You need the trolls on this roster. 3 rerolls is still going to give you loads of stuff to do. Now, you can take more rerolls and have less petty cash. That's absolutely fine. But I think the point of this is that you need the trolls. The box comes with loads of stuff anyway. But the other thing to mention here is riotous rookies. So this is an inducement. And for 150k, you get 2d3 plus 1 linemen with loner. Now, that's not a problem for this roster. What these linemen do, so 150k, you induce it, you get, I don't know, 4, 5, 6, 7 extra Snotlings. Those are the guys you can bring on with swarming. They've got loner, which means you can't use your team rerolls except if you roll a 4+. That's fine. You're not likely to do that. They come with Titchy and Dodge, so they're going to be running around doing stuff on a 2+ anyway. But those are the guys that you use to just feed to your opponent, to throw at your opponent, to stand there next to your trolls and stuff like that. Your core roster, your core 4 Snotlings, are reserve ball carriers. It's the riotous rookies are going to be the ones you are throwing at people. And I think that is going to be fantastic. Because you've got 14 already, 14 players on this roster. Yep, 2 secret weapons, fine. You induce 2d3 plus 1, so that's up to 17 to 21 players. You're using swarming, so you set up, your opponent sets up on the pitch, and then you chuck 3 extra guys on. It just gives you ammunition to be thrown, extra opportunities to foul. It's just a really cool thing to do. And yeah, it works out real nice. Okay, Snotlings. I love this roster. I loved this roster in the last edition. Like, I took them to a tournament, I ran Hackflem with them, and I was on top table in round 3, and I lost to Chaos Dwarves with Morg and Hackflem. That was early in the edition when it was quite dark and star player driven. This edition, Snotlings, those pump wagons look so much fun, and the trolls are going to be there because you're not doing everything with the trolls. The trolls are just going to be better. You've got all the toys with all the Snotlings, and your team value is still going to come in low enough for you to induce the riotous rookies to make the most of swarming, to not bother, to induce a star player if you want to experience a star player. So for me, Snotlings in this edition are just S-tier fun. They're always going to be in it. There's always going to be a couple of rolls you can make to actually get a win here. Now, they're not going to be the most winningest team in Blood Bowl, but they are going to be competitive and they are going to be carnage, and I think it's fantastic. Now, we're not featuring them in the championship because Nick's running them in Gutter Bowl, and you know what? I'm fine with it, but whatever happens, we'll be having Snotlings in the next championship because the two ball Tiny Titans need to come back, Trumpets needs to come back, and now the Pump Wagons, they are good to go. This is a super fun roster. I couldn't be happier with it. Anyway, let me know what you think about Snotlings in the comments below, and we'll be back soon with more Blood Bowl content. Happy dodging.